It's time for Dodger baseball.
Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
Play from the first job. This is a no-hitter.
Turner in the air to center field. That ball's hit well. Martinez on the run. This is way back, and it is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner.
And for the second consecutive season, the Dodgers are going to the World Series.
Bellinger hammers the ball. It's Bellinger's turn. Lifts a fly ball to left center field. Back towards the wall. It is gone. Mookie with another 3-home run game.
And welcome to the Dodgers Nation post-game show. I'm your host, Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. The Dodgers get the win. They win their 15th of their last 18 games. They're still undefeated in series this year. Their record sits at 9-0-3. We've got lots to get into on this one. This series and the trade deadline coming tomorrow. Will the Dodgers make a move that moves the needle for this Dodger team? We're going to break it all down, but you know how we get things kicked off here. Let me know where you're representing Dodgers Nation from. Give me those cities, zip codes, area codes. Throw those into the comments and those Dodger takes. But let's get right into this action and let's talk some Dodgers baseball. Let's jump right into these comments here. Nelson, Dem Bums, Deborah Young, go Dodgers. Doug Crosby, glad to see Lux get a couple of base knocks. Yeah, my player of the game, I'm going with Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux, he looked like he was lost out there in his first couple starts back, but he gets two big hits tonight. He gets his first hit of the year, and then he gets the first double of the season, his first extra base hit, his first hit of the day, I should say, a morning game here, 11:30 start in Los Angeles. But yeah, I'm going with Gavin Lux with my player of the game. Let me know down below in the comments who's your player of the game. You could go with Mookie Betts, who had another solid night. Corey Seager. The Dodgers set the record for most home runs in a calendar month for the month of August. The Dodgers, 57 home runs. They added another one with Will Smith. Will Smith goes deep, but Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, and Will Smith go deep, and the Dodgers now only trail, now they can't, but the record is actually the New York Yankees, who set the record last year with 61 bombs in the month of August in 2019. But we'll be talking trades, we'll be breaking down this entire game, but let's jump right into these comments here. DTLA from Joseph Megazzini looking good. Randall Etheridge, what's up, Doug? Represent from North Carolina. Belly Bomb number 10. Yeah, Cody Bellinger is getting real hot at the best possible time, the end of the year leading into the postseason. Cody Bellinger, by the way, Headband Cody is a vibe, and it's Frody Bellinger with the afro there. I'm loving what I'm seeing with Cody Bellinger. To me, he's on the Who's Hot, right at the top of the Who's Hot list for the Los Angeles Dodgers. His last 10 games, 8 home runs. In his last 16, he's batting .351, OPSing .1280. His last 7, .308, 400, and .731. After today, Cody Bellinger goes 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run today, a stolen base, and a walk. So Cody Bellinger, another productive game, and he's looking like that MVP. And we've got the MVBs now in full force with Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger. He's another candidate for the player of the game. But let's jump back into these comments. If you have not, throw those into the comment section. Your city, zip code, area code, where you represent Dodgers Nation from tonight, because your Los Angeles Dodgers are the best team in Major League Baseball. Their record now 26-10 on the year, 5.5 games ahead of the San Diego Padres. They're now 9-0-3 in series, have not lost a series all season long. They won 15 of their last 18 games. They set the record with the most home runs in a month in the National League. They get 3 home runs tonight, 1 from Corey Seager. The Fresh Prince got jiggy with it in the second, and Bellinger blasted his 10th belly bomb of the year with a 2-run shot in the fourth. The Dodgers scored 6 runs on 7 hits, and they plated runs at every inning but the 5th, 7th, and 9th inning. 7 walks yesterday, 6 today. The Dodgers are now 15-2 on the year when they have more than 4 walks. The strikeouts today were a little alarming. The Dodgers on the year, they're averaging about 7.9 strikeouts per game, 7.8 strikeouts per game. The Dodgers tonight, 13 Ks. It was nice to see Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor, who've been struggling of late, get hits late in the game. But the Dodger offense, they're really starting to reach their full potential. The Death Star is fully operational with Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy starting to heat up at the right time. Corey Seager is staying hot and he's staying healthy, which is the most important thing. But let's jump back into these comments. Guys, give me your fire Dodger takes. I want to know a yes or no answer. Should the Dodgers swing a big deadline deal? Should they make a move for a Lance Lynn, a Mike Clevenger? You've heard talk about Francisco Lindor, although I think those talks, I think that's more of a winter move like John Heyman said. But what do you think? Should the Dodgers swing a deadline deal for a starting pitcher, a bullpen piece? Josh Hader's out there right now. His fastball velocity has dipped a little. He's throwing more off-speed stuff. But then again, so is everyone in Major League Baseball. They figured out you throw less heaters and you'll give up less bombs. So how do you guys feel? Let me know a yes or no. Should the Dodgers swing a trade at the deadline? But welcome into the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Let's jump back into these comments. We got Brian the Turk, great win today from Indiana. We got San Pedro from Ann Limon. We got New Brune Falls, Texas represent from Candido Perez. Yeah, you got to love that. We went to Texas. Now the Dodgers they're now they've won 4 out of 5 games in Texas this year, and that could be where the National League postseason will be held, in that strange stadium. Although I do like how the dimensions are relevant with the Beltre and the Jackie Robinson's number. I think that's really cool, but to me it looks like a jumbo-sized super Costco that you're playing in, but that could be where the Dodgers will be playing in the postseason. Joseph Megazzini, Lux looks good. Yeah, he took a deep breath, and then he got that big hit, and Gavin Lux is out there saying, hey, I heard these rumors. I see these rumors that you want to trade me for Francisco Lindor. And he said, you're trading who to where? Because I'm going to be in Dodger Blue. I'm under team control for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm going to be in Dodger Blue. You don't want to give up that type of team control and shake up this offense. But the Dodger dog of the game, I'm going with Tony the Catman Gonsolin. So the Dodger dog goes to a cat. Tony Gonsolin, only 3 innings, gives up his first run of the year. But the way he battled to get out of that 3rd inning, 39 pitches for Gonsolin in that inning, he limits the damage. And to me, that was the sequence of the game, because that could have gone south. They could have put up some big runs in that inning, and this could have been an offensive shootout there in Texas. But he gets it done, really emptied the tank in that 3rd inning. But let's jump back into these comments, and we'll break down the game a little more in just a second. Siegs is raking from Doug Lorenz. Corey Seager is one of the bright spots of this year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Corey Seager continues to play well. It is sustainable. He's healthy. He's staying hot. He's consistent, and he's hitting big home runs. Couple weeks ago against the Padres, the Dodgers, they win by a score of 2-1. Corey Seager gets the game-winning hit essentially in that series. Today, he gets the Dodgers on the board with a home run. And very timely hitting for Corey Seager. He goes 2 for 5 today with a home run and a single, 2 RBIs, a strikeout. But another great night for Corey Seager, and you just love to see it. Nothing makes me happier than to see Corey Seager on the field, healthy, and staying hot for the remainder of the season. Corey Seager now on the year, right behind Mookie Betts in offensive categories. He's now hitting close to 300 with 6 home runs on the year, and Corey Seager is for the month of August. For the year, Corey Seager is his average after today. Corey Seager is right up there near the top at almost every offensive category. Leads the team in team batting average at .311. He's catching up to Mookie Betts with OPS. He's OPSing .951. And he's got 9 home runs on the year, 7 doubles. And Corey Seager, he's just really carried this offense. If he can stay this hot for the entire season, Corey Seager is going to be a factor in the postseason, and you just love how he gets down. He's Mr. Hacktastic, going up there, hacking, and he got it done right there in the top of the 1st inning. So top of the 1st inning, Mookie Betts strikes out, and after that 3-strikeout game on Friday night, Mookie Betts, he has played much better. Mookie Betts, he reached base 3 times again today, and Mookie Betts, you don't have to ever worry about Mookie Betts. It's always a great day when you can watch Mookie play, and another great night for Mookie Betts, another great day for Mookie Betts in Texas. But top of the first inning, Mookie Betts, he strikes out. Then Corey Seager, first pitch swinging. Average first pitch he puts into play, it's 308. So he's hitting 308 when he puts the first pitch into play this year. 398 for his career. He takes Gibson deep on a hanging slider to make it 1-0 Boys in Blue. A 427-foot blast. His 9th dinger of the year. 66th home run for the Dodgers at that point. And the first home run the Dodgers first in baseball in that category. Then Max Muncy, he walks on 4 pitches, and Pollock strikes out. So the Dodgers, they strike first there in the first. Then the bottom of the first inning, a fastball down the middle. Chu singles off Gonsolin. So Chu, he singles off Gonsolin on the first pitch of the game, and then Gonsolin strikes out Solak on a splitter on the outside corner on the knees to get Solak. And then on a 3-2, the runner goes and was strike him out, throw him out, a double play to get out of the inning. It was a 96-mile-per-hour four-seamer to get past Trevino, and a great throw there by Will Smith. It was his 3rd throwout of the year. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left in the first inning. And then in the second, Will Smith. How often do you see this? You make a great play in the field, and then you're due up in the next inning, and you're rewarded with some offensive firepower. Will Smith goes deep for the Dodgers' 67th bomb of the year. And the Dodgers are now 22-6 when they hit 2 home runs in a game. A 439-foot blast for his 4th of the year. 2 home runs in 2 innings for the Dodgers. And then in the bottom of the second, this is where Tony Gonsolin, the leadoff walks. A leadoff walk for Tony Gonsolin. Wasn't landing the splitter in that at bat. He walks Gallo. And then he gets Frazier to fly out for the first out. Falifa to pop out. Then he gets Guzman swinging with the 4-seamer for his 3rd punch out of the game. And then the 3rd inning, Mookie Betts walks, Corey Seager strikes out, swinging on a strike him out, throw him out. Max Muncy was hit by a pitch, and then Cody Bellinger crushes his 10th belly bomb of the year. The Dodgers 58, giving them the most home runs ever for a National League team. The record for the month I mentioned earlier was the Yankees with 61. So the Dodgers doing it with the long ball early, putting up 4 runs in 3 innings. But let's jump back in the comments. Who's your player of the game? Should the Dodgers make a trade? Here we go. Dodgers Nation from Anthony Olson. Go True Blue from Lynn Friedrich. Cincinnati, Ohio from Richard. Doug Crosby repping from you know where. Doug Crosby, a day one here on the Dodgers Nation postgame show. East Lansing, Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Rick Flores, are the Dodgers making any moves? I see the Padres are stocking up. Rick Flores, yes, the Padres are making moves. And the Padres clearly, look at if the playoffs started today, if the postseason started today, the Dodgers would be matching up with the Florida Marlins. So Padres, they're making trades, and they want to. It's clear that they want to win now. They see what they have. They got Moreland from the Red Sox. They got Trevor Rosenthal yesterday. So they're adding arms, and they clearly want to win now. Look, you make a move they got Pomeranz in the offseason. They got Tommy Pham in the offseason. The Padres, they have a great farm system, but they're cashing it on those chips, and that's what you do. You cash in those chips for a postseason run. I'm not too concerned with the Padres if we face them in the postseason, but hey, I kind of like it. I like the fact that a team is trying to win a World Series because this is a 16-game playoff, a 16-game postseason, and when you have one of the best players in the game in Fernando Tatis Jr., I can't believe I'm already saying that. He's so young, but there's no denying it. One of the best, most electric players in the game. You don't squander those opportunities. You don't know if he's going to get injured. You don't know how many years he's going to be this hot. Credit to the Padres for making moves, but I don't think the Dodgers need to make those type of moves. The Morelands or the Rosenthals. The Dodgers, as Dave Roberts said, if they're going to make a move, it's going to be a move that moves the needle. For someone like we saw Lance Lynn yesterday. Lance Lynn, how would you guys feel? Let me jump back into these comments and we'll break this down more in a second here. We got Candido from Braunfels, Texas. Sandra putting it down for the Dodgers in LA, baby. We got Ryan. We got Harold from Burke, Virginia. Cincinnati, Ohio from Richard. Doug, Phoenix, Arizona. Dodger Blue in enemy territory. Hey, it looks like they're starting to sell in Arizona. Marte to the Yankees. I've heard that rumor. Yes, they should from Candido. Magic number for the NL is 19. Michael Moran. I love that, but it also makes me sad. It makes me sad because it feels like the season just started and we're already talking magic numbers. But thanks for that. 19 is the magic number for the NL West. I think the Padres still are playing today, but the Dodgers right now, a 5.5 game lead in the NL West. Lacey Washington loves the Dodgers. What up, Angela Londa? More pitching wouldn't hurt. Yes, Harold. Yes, I think that if you're going to make a move, it's got to be for an arm. Yes, Francisco Lindor, that's a big name. The Dodgers have been linked with Lindor for it seems like years now. But with the way that Corey Seager's playing, to have a position switch during the year, I think that's a little much to ask. You don't want to disrupt that. The Dodger offense seems like they have the chemistry. And look, they're hitting .217 against lefties. And Francisco Lindor on the year he's actually having a down year by his standards. He's hitting .267 on the year. He's slashing .267, .327, .437. But against lefties, he's hitting .333, .400, and .417. The Dodgers, if you want to find a chink in the armor for the Dodgers, it's their inability to have success against lefties. The Dodgers against lefties this year, coming into today's game, they were hitting .224, OPSing .678 in 11 of their home runs against lefties. Against righties, they've hit 54 of their home runs against righties. I believe all of Mookie Betts' bombs are against righties. So Mookie Betts, the guy, he's a career hitter of almost 300 against lefties. So I think that you're going to have some regression to the mean for this Dodger offense. A.J. Pollock is still hitting well against lefties. Justin Turner is hitting way lower than his career averages. Even Corey Seager, I believe he's a .269 hitter against lefties for his career. So some of those reverse splits there will work in the Dodgers' favor. So I don't think it's a desperate need, but if you do want to find a chink in the armor, like if the Dodgers face the Braves, they have Max Fried. There are some lefties out there that could pose a threat to the Dodgers. But I think that the key area, the key department of need, the position group where you would want to make a move would be the starting pitching staff. Today, Tony Gonsolin, I give him all the credit in the world for battling out of that third inning, but Dodgers starters have pitched less than 5 innings in 13 of their last 22 games. So that tells you that they need an innings eater, and if you need an innings eater, look no further than the pitcher who leads all of Major League Baseball in innings pitched in 2020, Lance Lynn. Look, I know the Dodgers, they hit well off. They kind of rocked him a little bit yesterday, but then again, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's the best team in Major League Baseball as far as offense goes. And I told you, hey, this Dodger team is smart. Maybe they were trying to reduce the value. I was saying that last week. But obviously, these teams, these baseball operation groups and Andrew Freeman, they're not going to make a trade off whether or not a player pitches well or poorly in one start. But when you look at Lance Lynn, my friend Tim Rogers, SD Dodger, go follow SD Dodger. And this guy is the prospect guru for Dodgers Nation. He mentioned that he is a pitcher that is he's a heavy fastball pitcher is Lance Lynn. If you know the trend in Major League Baseball, the trend of throwing heaters is down for everyone. Even Josh Hader, his velo is dropped, but he's also throwing more sliders because baseball is a game of adjustments, and they understand that you throw less heaters, they're not going to hit it out of the park as much. At least that is the approach they're going with. And Lance Lynn, he's a heavy fastball pitcher, and Lance Lynn on the year, 51 innings pitched, an innings eater, a 1.93 ERA, 9.8 strikeouts per 9. He did get rocked in the 2018 NLDS, but if you look at the breakdown of his pitches, his pitch mix, he's throwing his four-seamer 57.4% of the time, and then a cutter 19.9% of the time. So if he hangs a cutter, if they catch up to his four-seamer in a playoff game, it could be 6-0, 5-0. I don't know if I love the move for Lance Lynn, but last year he had another good year. He was top 5 in the AL in Cy Young Award voting. He went 16-11 with a 3.67 ERA and a 3.13 FIP. And like I said, with Lance Lynn, you're getting an innings eater, and with the Dodgers starters not going deep into games, he's faced more hitters the last 2 years than any pitcher in the American League. So he goes deep into games, and you're looking at least 6 to 7 innings per start. Do you guys like the idea of acquiring Lance Lynn? If you look at his contract, too, for $10 million a year with that kind of productivity, you know Andrew Freeman is nicknamed Andrew Fleeceman for a reason, because he knows value when he sees it. And to get that type of productivity for only $10 million a year, not too long of a commitment, I think that's a move the Dodgers could possibly consider. But let's jump back into the comment section here. We got the 253 baby from Vuitton. Deborah Young would love to have Hader. Lisa Gardner-Reese, yes. Yes for either Lynn or Clevenger from Ryan O'Ryan Montez, or Bauer from Brian Alex. Now, Trevor Bauer, his metrics, his peripherals are stuff that this organization falls in love with. High spin rate. His breaking stuff would play up in the postseason. His velo on his fastball really fluctuates from like 92 to 98. It's really interesting the way he pitches. But with Trevor Bauer, you're only going to get 25 games out of him. I mean, not even 25 games. You're only going to get a handful of starts for the remainder of this season and hopefully a deep postseason run, and then he's going to be a free agent. So if the price tag is too high for a guy like a Trevor Bauer and they want elite prospects like a Josiah Gray or a Keibert Ruiz or some win-now players like a Jock Peterson, Ross Stripling, I think that wouldn't have an issue moving him. But with Trevor Bauer, I don't know if I want to make that move unless you can get a guy that's under a little more team control, like a Lance Lynn or a Mike Clevenger, guys that you can get some more value with if you're going to give up the prospects. Look, if you guys ever went to Blockbuster Video as a kid, I know you youngins out there have no idea what that is, but Blockbuster, when the new releases came out, the hot movies, you only got to keep it for one day. Then you had to return it. That's what it would be like for Trevor Bauer. You only get it for basically a handful of games. I like the idea, if we're going to cash in on some of these elite prospects, let's get a guy that has some team control. Also with Trevor Bauer, like I said in the last show, it's Bauer beware with Trevor Bauer. Me personally, I like the edge he brings, but the team chemistry, as we saw in the last week, the chemistry on this team is as good as I've ever seen it. From offensively to the pitching staff to all components of this team, I think there's a great chemistry on this team, and I don't want to do anything to cause a rift in the clubhouse or do anything that might risk that might kind of hurt that vibe. So that's something to consider. But I'm a fan of Trevor Bauer. And there's another thing too is, look, the Dodgers have shown in the past that they are willing. Look at the Mookie Betts trade. We traded for Mookie Betts. And that, everyone said, oh, that was going to be a one-year rental. He signs for 13 years. So if the Dodgers like what they see, they have the means to sign big deals. But you have to remember, Bauer's going to want something 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something long-term, especially if you pitch as well in the postseason and the remainder of this season. And the Dodgers, they still have to pay Buehler. They still have to play Corey Seager at this point. I don't think Corey Seager should walk. I definitely want Corey Seager to retire a Dodger. Guys like Cody Bellinger, I don't think you're going to see the Dodgers deal out 6 or 7 mega contracts in the next 5 to 10 years. So you have to be selective. So I don't necessarily love the acquisition of Trevor Bauer unless it's a complete fleece job. Because, look, Dustin May is off limits. Gavin Lux is off limits. Only player I would trade those guys for is Mookie Betts. And Mookie Betts is already a Dodger. We already traded for him twice. We don't need to trade for him again because he's already in Dodger blue. So those players are off limits. Cody Hosey is a guy where his ceiling is a little, I think that Cody Hosey's ceiling is something that I think is intriguing. I would consider dealing him, Josiah Gray, Keibert Ruiz, if it's for an elite piece. I think Mike Clevenger okay, how about this? If you guys had to choose between Clevenger and Lance Lynn, let me know down below in the comments, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Jay, yes, we have the depth to trade. Dan, Stratford, Connecticut, go Dodgers. Vuitton, Gonsolin wasn't that great today. Wasn't that great, but I think there's some things to consider when it comes to Tony Gonsolin. Look, with Tony Gonsolin, he hadn't had a start in the big leagues in almost 2 weeks. He throws an intra-squad game where he throws about almost 100 pitches, and Tony Gonsolin, I think that throws off your rhythm. I think Tony Gonsolin, in his defense, he wasn't as sharp as we've seen him coming into tonight. He had gone 14-2 scoreless innings. Now that's gone. By the way, Oral Hershiser can pop some champagne tonight because he's not coming for those 59 scoreless innings. But let's look at the inning that really showed that he's very battle-tested out there. I love the grit that we saw from Tony Gonsolin in that inning. So let's break down the bottom of the third inning. So Tavares singles on a line drive to left. Mathis singles to left. Shin-Soo Choo walks. And then a wild pitch by Gonsolin scores Tavares. And in the first bad outing for Gonsling of the year, if you want to call it that, he just goes 3 innings, lost command of his fastball and splitter at times during this outing. But then he gets Trevino to pop out to second for the first out. And then on a 3-2 count, Gonsolin gets a called strike 3 at the knees for the second out to get Gallo. Was a little low and inside, but he got the call on the fastball. And then he gets Frazier swinging on a slider to get out of the inning and limit the damage to 1 run. So a 39-pitch inning, bases loaded, no out, and no score. No bases loaded, no outs, and the score and the bases loaded, no outs, and they score only 1 run there on a wild pitch. He only gives up 1 hit, and now it's to Chin-Soo Choo on the first play of the game. So I think that Tony Gonsolin goes 3 innings pitched. 3 innings pitched, 3 hits. 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 62 pitches. It was 8 for 14 on first pitch strikes, 10 swinging strikes in 3 innings pitched. So he's still missing bats out there. And just 1 hit in the first 2 innings. Like I said, 1 hit in the first 2 innings. He was cruising. It looked like he was going to go the distance, something like another 6-inning start right there. But unfortunately, that 3rd inning did not have the command. He gives that one wild pitch they score off of. But he was nails in the 3rd. So the Catman scratched and clawed his way out of that 3rd inning. He was in a jam, and he gets out of it. But like I said, he emptied the tank in that 3rd inning, got himself into a bases-loaded, no-outs jam in the bottom of the inning. But opponents coming into tonight, they were hitting just 165 against Tony Gonsolin, and those are against pitches in the zone. So 165 versus pitches in the zone, that's best in Major League Baseball. So I'm still very high on Tony Gonsolin. If you're going to be, we're talking about trades today, if you're looking for a stock to buy some Tony Gonsolin stock, because that splitter change is a special pitch, and it's one that's going to make him a lot of money one of these days. But here we go. Let's jump back into these comments. We got the 513 Cincinnati, Ohio, Richard Medina. Lux and Gonsolin have to stay in the lineup from here on out. If you're out there and listening to me, Roberts, keep them with the squad. That's from Brulio Estrada Jr. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. Big facts from Brulio Estrada Jr. No question about it. I want to see. I'm going to get some water first, but I want to see Gavin Lux up there. I want to see Gavin Lux up there working out his swing at the big league level, because Kike Hernandez is struggling mightily. Kike Hernandez has been going through it for a while now. He does get a hit tonight, goes 1 for 2, also gets a strikeout. But Kike Hernandez, heading into tonight's game, Kike Hernandez, he's in my, so for the who's hot, who's not Cody Bellinger, and then who's not Kike Hernandez. He's hitting 63, OPSing 368, with 7 strikeouts his last 7 games. He's so cold he might get frostbite because he's just not getting it done. I want to see Gavin Lux out there for an extended period of time to end this year to see if he can become a real asset. My Dodger dog of the game, it goes to the Catman, like I said, for getting us out of that 3rd inning. Player of the game, going with Gavin Lux. Who's your player of the game? But here we go. Seager getting his MVP trophy from RT Fat. That's from Periscope. Hey, Corey Seager, I think that Mookie Betts is still in the mix for MVP. I think Mookie Betts is still in the mix for MVP. And if you just look at a lot of the offensive categories, though, Corey Seager and Mookie Betts lead the way for this club. Mookie Betts, 39 hits, leads the team. Corey Seager is second. Doubles, Mookie Betts leads the team with 8. Corey Seager second with 7. Home runs, Mookie Betts leads the team with 11. Corey Seager is second with 9. And also, you got to look at WAR. In Fangraphs, Mookie Betts has the 3rd highest WAR on the team at 1.9. I believe his baseball reference WAR is 2.4. Mookie Betts is a superstar, and I think that he's the MVP. And I said it before the first game of the season that he'd be the first to win MVPs in both leagues since Frank Robinson. I still think with the Dodgers record the way it is, I still think he's on track to achieve that. But here we go. No trading Seager, best non-move of the season, Doug Lorenz. That's the take of the day so far from Doug Lorenz on Facebook. Absolutely. That was the biggest trade of the day. I might have to go back on Twitter and delete my tweets where I talked about trading Seager for Lindor. And it was nothing against Seager, but I thought Lindor is such an elite prospect. And this was before the Mookie Betts trade, but you are absolutely correct on that one. Some of the best trades are the ones you don't make, and that's a good example of that, a perfect example, because Corey Seager is phenomenal. So I think Corey Seager, I think that a lot of people just assume that he's gone after the next year. I think that the Dodgers understand that, hey, he was a high prospect, wins Rookie of the Year, had some big moments with this club. I think they'll reward Corey Seager if he continues to play like this. I can see him signing a long-term extension as well. So here we go. Hacktastic, yeah, from Julie. Bauer would be amazing. Congrats, Dodgers, on a great win. From Sandra Gonsolin. Oh, no, that's from Marisol over on Facebook. Sandra Gonsolin did great to stay composed on bases loaded. Exactly. It is not easy when the bases are juiced like that on the road. You haven't started in over 2 weeks. You haven't given up a run this whole season. I think he stayed poised there. You saw the fire in his eyes there, and I think he's battle-tested at this point. I want to see more from Tony Gonsolin in any capacity. Look, that changeup, that splitter changeup is elite. It could be something that you would see out of the bullpen on an elite level, but he's going to be a weapon for this club. I have no question about it. I have no doubt about it. Brian, a postseason rotation of Kirsch, Buehler, Gonsolin, and a guy like Bauer would be prime. Lindor from Brian, Alex, Clay. Anybody know if we'll be batting against Baumgartner against the Snakes next week? If so, which game of the series? I want to watch that. Yeah, it's always fun to rough him up. What up, D-Mac from Steve? What up, Steve? We got Clay. Yeah, AJ is on a rampage. Eyes on the Padres. Yeah, they are. I mean, look, they are. The Padres, give him credit. The Padres, I always say that the Dodgers are San Diego's Padres, if you know what I mean, because the Dodgers own the NL West, but I like the fact that a team in the era of tanking, in the era of not spending, they have a farm system that is best in baseball or in the conversation for it, and then you have elite talent like Fernando Tatis Jr., and you're trying to win despite being in the same division as the mighty Los Angeles Dodgers. You got to respect that. DH Lindor, love my Dodgers from Monica. If it ain't broke, don't fix it from Miguel. That's true. Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we've seen the Dodgers go out and make some big-time moves like they did with Yu Darvish or Manny Machado. Andrew Freeman is always going to look for opportunities to make this team better and improve this club, especially if you're this close to winning a World Series. So I think that it's possible. I think it's possible the Dodgers are going to make a move for an arm. I don't love the idea of bringing in Francisco Lindor this late in the year and shaking things up offensively, because then you have to get Seager to buy into a move to third, and then what do you do with Justin Turner? Yes, you could DH him and put him at second, and then you would have to get Turner to say, hey, I'm going to re-sign to DH, and then you have to hope that the DH becomes permanent in the National League, so that could be a factor there as well. But, I mean, just imagine that lineup. Betts, Seager, Lindor, Turner, Bellinger, Muncy, Pollock. I mean, we're talking juggernaut right there. That's the KD Warriors right there. But if we traded for Lindor, I don't see it happening. I think Andrew Freeman realizes this team can score enough runs. It's just another arm or two could help in the bullpen or on the staff, on the starting rotation. Doug, what do you think about letting go of Ramos? Good, bad, curious. What do you think on that from Clay? I think that A.J. Ramos, it just tells me that he might have not looked that well. Look, he might have not made the progress that the Dodgers wanted him to make at USC, because, look, we don't see those games. We don't watch those practices. He'd been coming off years of not pitching and a severe shoulder injury and serious surgery. Yes, when he's on, he's an all-star caliber player and a top 5 reliever, but it tells me that the Dodgers wouldn't just let him go if they thought that he could contribute to this year's run. So it's unfortunate for A.J. Ramos. And I think Andrew Freeman took on some of these guys, and he wanted a couple of them to stick. Blake Trinan, a $10 million deal. And Blake Trinan, a $10 million deal. You had Jake McGee, who gave up 4 runs, or who got rocked the other day, but he's been, for the most part, someone that the Dodgers can count on to get outs with that heavy fastball usage. But I think the Dodgers, look, that's what they do. They understand how to find value with the bargain basement players, and unfortunately, they put on that Dodger uniform and they play their best baseball. So the bullpen's a very frustrating department to really analyze, because they're always touch and go. There's always ups and downs with the bullpen. And fortunately for the Dodgers, this year the bullpen, like I said, 2020, year of the bullpen for the Dodgers, for the most part, they've been nails. But if you're going to look, Josh Hader, I think that, look, if you look at Julio Urias, I think Urias ultimately ends up in the bullpen, and he can be that lights-out lefty who can strike out guys with a 95, 96 mile-per-hour fastball, but can also get that soft contact through the fastball and via the slider and his off-speed stuff. So I think the eyes have to be on a starter. But let's jump back into these comments. One of the moves I'd be okay with, Lynn. That's it. Big hello from Calgary. What up? America's hat in the house. Richard Cotter. Sermon King. Oh, by the way, real quick, just a little plug for the Dodgers Dugout podcast. So the Dodgers Dugout podcast, the latest Dodgers Nation production, is the podcast where we take all the takes from this show, where I read off all your takes, and we condense it to a 30, 35-minute episode, and then we add some additional analysis and post-game clips. So definitely, if you have not subscribed to the Dodgers Dugout podcast, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, subscribe, rate, and review, and you can hear yourself on the podcast. So basically, subscribe to your podcast, the Dodgers Dugout podcast. We're going to be featuring your comments. But Clevenger, greater than sign Lynn, that's from Matt Della Rosa. Yeah, I'm actually a very big fan of Mike Clevenger. I'm a big fan of Mike Clevenger for a multitude of reasons. And one of them, I like the edge he brings. And then two, if you look at his pitch mix compared to Lance Lynn's pitch mix, he's at a 40.9% four-seamer, a 25.9% slider, 14.9% curve, 12.8% change, and then he throws a cutter at 6.8% of the time. So we're talking about a 5-pitch mix there, and I think that will play up in the postseason. His last postseason appearance, 5 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 3 walks against the Astros in 2018. In 4 starts this season, Mike Clevenger is 1-1 with a 3.18 ERA, a 5.61 FIP, and a 1.37 WHIP with 21 strikeouts and 11 walks through 22 2/3 innings pitched. But he hasn't pitched his best baseball because he hasn't been able to find a rhythm, because he was optioned for 2 weeks because he broke coronavirus protocol by going out with his homie Zach Plesac. So he violated protocols, and his team basically blackballed him for a couple weeks. But he did look good in his first start back. He went 6 strong. Last year, his strikeouts per 9 was at 12.1. This year it's at 8.3, but that number will go way up. I think that he's also a player that would play up in Dodger blue. Mike Clevenger, just go on YouTube and listen to some of the stuff he had to say about the Houston Astros. I think Sunshine should play in Cali Sunshine. I think Sunshine should play in Cali Sunshine, and he's under team control for 2 more seasons after 2020. So that's going to increase the asking price for Mike Clevenger. They're going to want at least 3 or 4 prospects, and we're talking top-end prospects. So you could say goodbye to Josiah Gray and probably Cody Hosey, maybe Zach McKinstry, DJ Peters, guys like that. But you have to also wonder, too, where they're sitting at. Do they want some win-now guys, too? Do they want win-now guys like a Jock Peterson for this year? So that's something you would have to consider, which is something I really wouldn't be opposed to. As much as I love young Jock, he's my homie. I loved young Jock, right? But you got to give something to get something, and there's a lot of teams interested in him too. The White Sox, who I think have the talent to make a World Series run. Dodgers, White Sox, World Series rematch from '59. Wouldn't that be something special? And then the Yankees, Braves, and Padres are also interested. So, yes, we don't want to make trades. Yes, we're happy that we have a 26-10 record, best record in Major League Baseball. But at the same time, look what happened with Verlander. We didn't trade for Verlander. He goes to the Astros. That ends up biting us in the World Series. So sometimes not only do we get a guy that can perform for us, but we get a guy that will not perform for another team that we're going to potentially face down the line. So to me, I think that Mike Clevenger, I'm a big fan of his. I really think that he's under team control via arbitration until 2022. If the price tag is too high, then it's a no from me, dog. It's a hard pass if they want a Gavin Lux or Dustin May. But we know Andrew Freeman. We trust Andrew Freeman, right? In Freeman, we trust. You know, if there's a deal to be made and he thinks that he can win the deal, he'll make the move. And the Dodgers have been in contact with the Indians about Mike Clevenger for a while now. They were talking to them in the winter about Mike Clevenger. You know that Andrew Freeman, they value that spin rate, that pitch mix. He's got the velo he has got the velo to punch guys out and miss bats in October, and that is what this club needs. And look at that rotation. You got Walker Buehler, he's the ace of the staff. Clayton Kershaw, who's probably going to win the Cy Young this year, he's going to be a guy that will go second there, and you get a little mix there, less of a fireballer and a guy that knows how to, Clayton Kershaw, best slider, curveball, and then that velo has an uptick this year. And then you throw in a guy like Mike Clevenger as the third starter, and then Dustin May. I want to see Dustin May as a third or fourth starter with the way that he can get those ground ball outs with his two-seamer and all of the elite pitches that are a part of his repertoire. But let's jump back into these comments here. Hello from Diego. No trade if it ain't broke. We got, at this point, keep the DH from Wilfredo Cordova. Wilfredo, I think you're onto something there, okay? Because preseason, I was like, no DH. I love the strategy. National League, we created baseball. We're the first league. They should change, right? And then I thought, I don't like the seven-inning games. I kind of like some of this stuff, and I think the DH, I haven't watched a game this year and thought to myself, man, I would love to see Dennis Santana out there with the bat or in the eighth or something like that, right? It's great to see the Dodgers, when you have the kind of depth that they have, one, you get to have the depth, and then two, it doesn't put you in a bad spot when it comes to signing players that might want to consider that. Might want to consider that when keeping them healthy later in their career. So at the later stages of your career, look, today, Mookie Betts, he DH'd. It's great to have Mookie's bat in there when otherwise he's going to just have a day off. We wouldn't see Mookie Betts at the plate. So I'm with you, too. I'm on board. I succumb to the DH. I surrender to the DH. Let me know down below in the comments. How do you guys feel about the DH here? We're at about 41 minutes here, guys. So give me your Fire Dodger takes. Be sure to also, if you have not, subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Dodgers Nation YouTube channel at youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Go to Dodgers Nation for all the greatest Dodgers content in the game. And then also be on the lookout for the Blue Heaven podcast. Looking forward to that one on the trade deadline, getting close to the trade deadline tomorrow, hosted by the senior editors here at Dodgers Nation, Real FRG, Clint Pasillas, and Brooks Smith. So be on the lookout for Blue Heaven. Can't wait for that one. But let's jump back into these comments. Stripling should not be a starting pitcher, though. Yeah, Ross Stripling. Unfortunately, Ross Stripling, he's had a lot of ups and downs in his career, and he's fortunately on another one of those downs right now. Ross Stripling, I thought this was going to be the year. I thought this was going to be the year that he really takes a 2017 Ross Stripling. But he's a guy who's been an all-star, but he's also been left off of playoff rosters. And fortunately, Ross Stripling just can't find a way to keep the ball in the yard. His home runs per 9 is nearing 4 at this point. Gives up more yesterday. And fortunately, Ross Stripling, it's interesting to see where they're going to put him because do you really have a spot for him in the bullpen if he's giving up jacks like that? So fortunately, Ross Stripling, I think he would have benefited for a full season. I think the short season hurts Ross Stripling because he's trying to work in that changeup. Wasn't able to get righties out with that changeup as much. Unfortunately, the deep ball has really been his Achilles heel when he's been out there. He just looked really frustrated, too. He looks really frustrated out there on the mound. But, hey, the Big Swing podcast, fan of his, and I hope he can turn it around. A couple more things, too. Let's break down. Let's jump back into more of these comments here. Let's go rapid fire here. We got Nelson. Lux is going to be Brandon Wood. Trade him. I don't think so. I think that Gavin Lux is going to figure it out. I think that he definitely has a complicated setup with that swing. But once he gets that bat path through the zone, makes contact, I think he can be a guy that can be a hitter that can hit 275 to 300 at the big league level. And hit for power, too, at that second base spot. So I think it's too early to give up on Gavin Lux. I think that, look, last year he had a phenomenal year in the minor leagues. I think he benefited a little bit from those juice balls, so those stats were a little inflated. But I think Gavin Lux still has it. If there is someone elite, I mean, we're talking elite, Lindor, DeGrom. I mean, we're talking top shelf guys. If you need to let him go for someone like that, I might consider it. But to me, he's pretty much in between. Look, the only untouchable prospect for me is Dustin May, right? But right outside of that, and Gavin Lux is very close to being untouchable, but Here we go. Padres won't trade Tatis, let alone to L.A. No, I don't think they'll either. Clevenger has COVID protocol problems. I wouldn't trade for him. Look, Isaac, I think that that's a fair point, a valid point, but I also think that a change of scenery and the Dodger culture could really benefit a guy like Mike Clevenger. So, yes, that is definitely a red flag if he comes here and he's not behaving well and he's breaking protocol. But the Dodgers, their vetting process is going to be next level. They're not going to trade for a guy that they don't think is going to make protocol. I mean, you're trying to go into a locker room with guys like Justin Turner, Clayton Kershaw, and Mookie Betts and misbehave? I don't think so, okay? So the leadership of the Dodgers, they're going to keep guys like Mike Clevenger in check, and then Mike Clevenger is going to get that buzz knowing he's rocking Dodger blue. By the way, for my reason that I love the Dodgers today, I'm going to give you one of these every show now. One reason that I love the Dodgers is it's great to watch every Major League game in C42. I know it's been said before, but the fact that every single team is basically wearing a Dodger uniform this weekend, to me, is amazing. 42, and it was really started by Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr., in 1997, for the 50th anniversary, Ken Griffey Jr. wanted to wear 42. He was wearing 42 a couple times, and more guys wanted to jump on. Ken Griffey Jr. thought it was a great idea. So shout out to the kid for really starting this whole 42 jersey wearing that everyone does in Major League Baseball. But here we go, guys. Way too early to trade Lux. I definitely agree with you. Dodgers doing 11:30. He will be a stud. Trust me. I'm trusting you. You said trust me. I'm going to trust you on that one. I don't like the DH. It's not real baseball. That being said, it's not bothering me this year. Go Dodgers. Let's get a pitcher at the trade deadline. Edgar, sunshine for straight up. Okay, I don't know about that, but I don't think that'll fly. That's a little too much highway robbery there. But hey, if we make this deal and we get an elite starter, I think that's it. I mean, that puts us over the top. We're the prohibitive favorites. That 3-game series is always terrifying because anyone in Major League Baseball, as evidenced by this series right here, the Rangers played us tough, and the Rangers, they were 29th in batting average, 27th in runs scored, 26th in hits, ERA 24th at 5.08. The starters, a ERA over 5. And they gave us a run for our money in Game 1, and they made things interesting throughout Game 2. And today the Dodgers dominated for the most part, but that definitely is terrifying. But if they make a deal for an elite starter, well then, hey, I guess there's only one thing left to do. What's that? Win the whole effing thing. What movie's that from? Major League quotes all day, every day. So I think it's definitely something that the Dodgers and Andrew Freeman are seriously looking at. I do think the fact that other teams are contenders is going to hurt the Dodgers. And Brooks Smith has talked about in the past, there's the Dodger tax where the Dodgers, they try to make the Dodgers overpay because of the Dodgers' dominance. So I definitely agree with you. I think Lux will be eventually a mainstay in the Dodgers infield for years to come. Green Bauer to LA. Kevin Rios, we need to trade Stripling and Urias for Trevor Bauer and Lance Lynn. I think that would be too much of a blockbuster deal at that point. I think that you would have to give up Urias with a team control. I wouldn't give up Urias for a 1 month and a half rental of Bauer. Definitely not. Especially, look, if you go back and look at Julio Urias, especially 2018, last year, this guy is an asset. He can be a weapon out of the pen. So I'm definitely not giving up on Julio Urias. I know it always feels like with Julio Urias, we're waiting for something to happen that's not going to happen as far as being that elite frontline dominant starter, but I still think he has top-tier stuff, and the metrics, the advanced analytics on inducing soft contact back that up. So another guy, so Chris Taylor too, a couple more notes. Chris Taylor, he's also on the Who's Not gang. He got a hit there late, but he's batting 143 in his last 7, and tonight the Dodgers get the win. They take the series over the Texas Rangers. A couple more notes. Justin Turner said he's feeling better. He's getting more treatment tomorrow, according to Dave Roberts. And Dave Roberts said that the best case scenario is you'll see him batting DH on Tuesday. So that, to me, is the greatest news because Justin Turner, to me, he's the milk to our cereal, right? He's a guy that the Dodgers rely on. And for him to be out just a few days, it appears that it's just a cramp in his hamstring. That is fantastic news for the Dodgers. Justin Turner, Ginger Jesus, get well. Hopefully we see it Tuesday batting DH. And then apparently and then also some more news. There isn't a return date set for Pedro Baez. So He had last pitched on August 19th. He's still on the injured list with a right groin strain, so they need Pedro Baez back. If that's more serious, that could also explain why the Dodgers are exploring the market for bullpen help. And then Walker Buehler, he threw 35 pitches during his bullpen session yesterday. That blister was uncovered at the time, and there still isn't a date set for him, but I think that once they backdate that injured list day, you could see him around early September at some point. But yep, guys, I think we've covered it all. Francisco Lindor, Lance Lynn, Mike Clevenger, maybe there'll be a surprise trade, unfortunately. But the Dodgers, like I said, they're batting .224 against lefties. If you do want to find a chink in the armor, that's where you got to look. But hey, the Dodgers, a major league best 26-10 record, 9-0-3 in series this year. The Dodgers have dominated. We're getting close to the postseason. Stay tuned for all your trade deadline news and look for DodgersNation.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. That's at DMAC_LA. But thanks again for rocking with us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. And as always, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.